September 2024. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini, the 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is what the chart looked like today. This is big, gradual sell-off. It was pretty choppy, a rally, another sell-off, another bounce. So it kind of looks like a sideways W. I came up with this, well, I didn't come up with this. I saw other traders that I was watching streaming connect the yesterday's high and yesterday's low, and it looked like there was a continuation, a multi-day blue down channel. So it looked like it fit pretty well. I can't say it offered up too many trades, but it was something to use as a guideline. Overall market moved about, I would say about 40 points from, let's say here, consistently the highs, which is about 57.73 to about 57.33. So it's about 40 points, but even that 40 points, it kind of just oscillated a lot within there. There's only, I guess, one thing that came out at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard, which is about right here, that may have moved the market. It was the FOMC Fed President Harker speaking, but I don't really think that was anything to be really super cautious of. So I'm going to go into the trades right now. There were a few setups, but there weren't that many. I ended up taking 2 trades, which was profitable on both. And I'm going to go into them right now. So I didn't have this blue down channel initially until I kind of saw other traders doing that, and I decided I was going to also put it in to see that potentially it would be used as a good guideline. So the pre-market, things are just chopping sideways. And let me just go ahead and zoom in. So in real time, I'm seeing something like this, and I'm thinking we're just going to be range bound. So then the market opens. Go ahead and compress this. It sets up a trade right here. So it's a down, push up, and tested the low after the break of this green down channel. It hits the support area, so it looks like I'm clearly at the bottom of the pre-market range. So I did see a new high here. It's a first entry long pullback, second entry long, and a potential triple test. 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch. Each triple test is breaking a little bit lower than each previous one. So even though this is a second entry long triple test, I thought it was a bit aggressive. It's bouncing off the support. The signal bar is red, which is this guy right here. It's a little bullish. Now it's a small signal bar risk because it's only about 6 ticks, and there's enough room from here up to the EMA. And I think, if I did take this trade, it was also a little early in the day. It kind of happened in the first 3 minutes. If I took this trade, I'm pretty sure I probably would have gotten stopped out because I would have entered it here, put my stop loss below this guy, and as you can see, it just ticked 1 tick below and would have stopped me out. It was a little tricky. Prices then move. It starts moving down what I initially thought was this purple down channel because it had this trend line resistance and a trend line support. It sets up my first trade. It was going down what I think is this purple down channel, but I also found this yellow superimposed yellow down channel. And I was kind of playing both, but the more important one at the time was this yellow one. So I saw this as a new low, the first entry short pullback, creates a second entry short on this candle. So this is what I'm thinking in real time. I'm noticing a break of this green up channel, tested once, pullback. It could test a second time. So it actually breaks up and starts moving down. So I'm waiting and I'm noticing that it's hitting some kind of resistance here. And this yellow down channel didn't sit as clean like this. I adjusted it so that it kind of cut through, and I kind of forced it to touch here, which is a little bit, ambiguous at the time. But I saw that it made 2 attempts up. It's probably at the top of the range, but I thought it was aggressive because it is pushing down to a potential low of the range. But when it punched through and engulfed this candle, so pushed through, I liked that look. So I thought it was going to push back down because I didn't quite have this as an overshoot. I was thinking it's going to push back down. So I entered at the low of this candle plus 1 tick or minus 1 tick, 1 tick lower, I guess. I got filled and then it closed up a little bit higher. But to sit through this, and then finally it flushed down, so the EMA held and it pushed down. It closed at the low, which is really fortunate because I've had other instances where it come down, touch my order, and bounce back up. Then this one definitely would have gotten the fill if this one hadn't filled. So I'm tracking my runner. It was actually 1 tick above here, and I moved it 1 tick here, and now I'm just kind of following it down. It bounced up, so I moved it to 1 tick above this guy, then 1 tick above this guy, 1 tick above this guy. So the runner's doing pretty well. And then finally, when it comes back down, I moved it one tick above this, being aware that it was probably going to bounce because I'm playing this yellow down channel. It was the high to the low to the high to the low to the high, back to the low. I'm thinking it might come back up. Keep in mind the purple down channel doesn't exist yet, so I couldn't use this as another indication that it might bounce, but I was using the yellow down channel support. So it bounces up and takes me out. And that's a pretty good management of that runner because had I just kind of waited up here, let's say I want to put it right up here and wait for another swing and then push down, I would have probably gotten a break even on the runner. Not break even, but same as the core profits. And that was good that I just kind of tracked it down, being a little more conservative, not aiming for home runs, just one tick above. And I got a pretty decent runner. I think it was about three, no, 4 point runner, I think, roughly. Prices start moving up, breaks out of this yellow down channel, starts moving up when I was thinking this orange up channel. And as I was just moving along, that's when I kind of was noticing other YouTube streamers that I'm watching that also trade the strategy. They kind of were using this as a guideline. So I went ahead and just drew it in as well. And then that gave me confidence that it was a good idea to try and take the profit here instead of, waiting for a bigger move. Because then I figured there's an existence of this potential support. Maybe not exactly where I have it, because it could float a little bit depending on how you drew your down channel. But for me, it kind of fit right there. So it's kind of a good validation how I managed the runner. Prices move up. It makes two attempts up. The break of this orange up channel, one attempt up, pull back, second attempt up. And I thought this was a new high, first entry long, second entry long failure. Second entry long failure, I thought this was a possible trade. So break of this orange channel, one attempt up, second attempt up, bouncing off this newly found, well, not new, but this new established blue down channel that I'm drawing. Excuse me. I made two measured legs up, made one attempt, two attempts, and now it looks like it's flushing down. It flushed through the EMA. It's a decent signal bar. This is a pretty decent signal bar, close at the low. And it looks like it might be flushing back down to test the low of potentially this bigger yellow down channel. And I also like that it engulfed this previous candle by one tick and then flushed down strongly with a close below the low of this guy. So it looked like it was a possible trade, but I didn't, and I wasn't, I think, quite prepared to see that and take it. So missed that trade. Possible move down, or actually price moves down, bounces, it breaks out of the blue down channel at this point, and I was playing with the idea of maybe it's actually lower, but it is clearly an overshoot here. Bounces off the bottom of this yellow down channel, breaks up, break of the green up channel, tests and makes a new high, and just kind of ranges, and it kind of bounces, and it looks like it's making a second attempt. And I saw one leg up, pull back, second leg up, two attempts up. Potentially, it could be considered have hit the top of this blue down channel, that it might start reversing back down. But I also kept in mind that there's a overshoot here and a potential overshoot here. So it moves, and I saw this as a second entry long, new high. It's a first entry long, pullback, second entry long. After the two measured legs up, it's a break of this yellow down channel. I'm thinking it might come back down, but the EMA is starting to show some strength, so it's acting as support. And I like that this candle is doing the break below and engulf the previous one. So this isn't a good signal bar to go long on, but this is a decent trigger bar, and you do have enough room to the high and before you potentially hit this blue down channel. And at the time, I was playing with this purple. I didn't really trust it as a channel yet, but I thought it might have been a trend line support. So it's bouncing off of there. So technically you have two key entry points, and it looked like it would have worked. The prices continue moving up. Excuse me. I didn't really have this orange up channel as a channel yet. I was playing with various trend lines, and I was thinking this touch, this touch, this touch. When I saw this touch, I didn't really trust it yet. Then it bounces up. So this is an almost trade, because what I was watching in real time is this purple up channel is still in play. It hits this top, comes back down, almost bounces, and then it flushes down. So it has a break. I'm thinking it might move back into this purple up channel, but it fails. So it looked like it's one attempt down, pullback, second attempt down. Then it creates a higher low, third bounce confirmation. So it's an almost trade because here I'm not thinking of going long just yet because I don't quite trust this. Even though this price action did bounce off the top of this blue down channel going down, but keep in mind, this isn't the cleanest. I mean, it looks very nice, right, for sure, but it could float a little bit. So it may have already broken, depending on how you drew the blue down channel, broken through, or hasn't even touched it yet. But in my case, it looked like it touched, so it's bouncing. So I had some like conflicting ideas of going long and going short. But then after this signal bar closed, it felt like it's too late to try to enter this trade. What would have been good was you'd have to enter this on an engulfing bar, I would think, because after it closes here, it looks really strong. I'm a little weary of this support here. I mean, there's enough room to scalp out, but I would just be a little more cautious. The signal bar is like uh, 12, 17 ticks. Excuse me, not 17 ticks. Let's see, 12 plus 3, 15 ticks. So it's actually 15 ticks is considered large for a day like this. Previous days, these were really small because you're getting like 4, 5, 6, 7 point ticks or 7 point candles, which is huge. And so this one's actually in the in the respect of this price action, kind of large. So I kind of left it alone. But then it sets up this failed second entry short. No, actually failed second entry long. First entry short, second entry short. So it's actually confirm bounce off this orange up channel, and then it flushes up. So after the failed second entry long, so I think actually it should be, I have that mislabeled, it should be failed second entry short. Let me restate that. So I see this as a new low, first entry short, second entry short isn't a good signal bar. This creates the failure, confirmed failure. You needed to break above this triple, micro triple top. But by the time it does, I'm running into what I suspect is some kind of resistance because it tested it once, twice. This could be a triple test. So I am leery of trying to enter this trade right here because it feels very risky, very dicey, even though it did bounce off the bottom of this or confirmed orange up channel, creating a double bottom. But it just felt a little bit iffy because it looks like it's having trouble pressing through this resistance, but it's being supported by this up channel. And EMA is starting to show support, but as you can see, the two previous violations were very, very strong pushes through. It chops around. In this case, it would have worked, but you'd probably enter here and you'd have to sit through all this noise until you finally get to here and probably get your scalp. Then prices continue moving up. I'm just kind of sitting on my hands, watching and waiting. It creates a higher low here. This higher low, I think, is a trade because you actually have a new high. It's a first entry long pullback, second entry long. You have a confirmed higher low here, so you suspect a higher low. Then here, for sure, you have a higher low. I think to enter this trade, you would have to have taken on an engulfing because if you wait for this to close, again, you run into the same issue that I saw here, that in this case, it kind of played out and went up. You probably would have gotten a 1 point scalp, except you don't know that's going to happen because it's a little bit hitting into resistance again. Plus this signal bar, I mean, it is riding on top of the EMA, but you also previously, like these guys, had a break through, but it is bouncing off the orange up channel. So I think it's an aggressive trade because it does have things going for it to go long, a little bit more than going short because you're not counter trend at this point. You're not thinking of going short for sure because it was recovered too much of the sell off. So it's probably a possible trade, but more aggressive in my opinion. Then prices continue chopping, creates this triple test. This triple test, it's also considered like a second entry long from here, first entry long, second entry long. This isn't a very good signal bar to go long, so this next bar isn't that encouraging either. But you do have a triple test, and it's the first break of this orange up channel. So it looks like a failed breakout might be moving back into this range, and you're bouncing off the bottom of this, you're bouncing off the bottom of this range, and it's the first breakout of this channel. You're thinking prices might move back in. So seeing this, had this only closed up a little bit higher, I think I would have potentially tried to take this trade, but it's just right along the EMA. EMA is flattening out, so it's a little bit harder for me to decipher, so I left it alone. But then you do have a second entry short here. So after this failed breakout of this trading range, you have first entry short pullback, second entry short. I like this candle in that it does what I have noticed uh, have noticed being trades that are more likely to work is when they tick one tick above in the direction and then reverse strongly and engulf the previous candle, plus close below the low of that previous candle. And this candle did exactly just that. So let me just go ahead and move one tick and then flush down and close below the EMA. So it looks like it's following through the failed breakout. On top of that, the failed breakout here, this candle didn't make a new high. So it looks like it's hitting some kind of resistance, pushing back down. So I thought this is actually a possible trade. Excuse me. Possible trade that I think either if you took it on the engulfing or you waited for the close, I would have probably waited for the close and entered probably right here, one tick up. Looks like I would have gotten filled, and then this one of these two candles probably would have given me the profit target. Prices are moving down. It starts moving down on this yellow down channel, bounces, and this actually sets up my second trade. Excuse me. I find this yellow down channel. Go ahead and clean it up a bit. Right there. It's the first break. It failed to make the low. Break of this purple up channel. Made one attempt up, pull back. It technically made a second really tiny attempt right here. First attempt up, second attempt up. I'm thinking bearish because I'm thinking it wants to test the lows of this yellow down channel. I'm not really thinking this orange up channel is in play anymore. I'm not really looking for a high because it already had a break and tested the high. Two attempts up. So now I'm thinking all bearish at this point. It creates a new low, first entry short. In here, it creates a hidden second entry short because it closes here, pushes down, pushes up, and then finally closes down. So it's very, very tight trading here. And the EMA is acting as some kind of resistance. And I like that it went technically two attempts up. So it's break, first attempt, second attempt in micro scale. First entry short, pullback, creates a second entry short. So I waited, I watched this move up because I was seeing a potential support right here where my cursor is. And I wanted to see it break through. It went up and closed, and I dropped in my order right at the lows of this guy. And unfortunately on this one, I don't get a runner, so I get my profit target. I move my runner to break even +1 just to make sure I don't lose anything on commission. So this is where my profit target was taken, and this is where the runner was taken out. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to ride this down. I mean, I have considered maybe moving the stop loss of my runner after this candle is closed. So that meant my runner would still be up here, but I'd rather just go ahead and take a very small win as opposed to having this reverse back and hit my stop on my runner and take away from the profits of the core because I don't want to give back anything if I can. But unfortunately, if I played it that way this time, I probably would have been able to ride this down a little bit longer. But I'm okay with the way the trade has been managed. So that's kind of how I've always been managing my runners. So it bounces, it kind of reverses up, moves up in this orange up channel. I don't really see any clean second entries. Technically, I have a new low, first entry short, second entry short failure. But I'm thinking this break of the green down channel could have another test of the low, but it was also a break of this yellow up channel and it has tested its low. So it's a little confusing, left it alone. I was looking for a higher low, but you don't really get one. Pushes up, hits this consolidation range. You have first entry long, second entry long, and then it kind of bounces here. You potentially have a triple test, but the EMA is kind of cutting through these candles, so it's a little ambiguous. This yellow up channel can't be trusted just yet because I just have this, so it's only two touch confirmation. Doesn't really tell you anything yet. Pushes up, then I have my third touch. So I actually saw this as new high, first entry long pullback. I was hoping this would have been a better candle. Saw it bounce. Then the subsequent trigger candle, it didn't give me much confidence either because it closed too low to the bottom. So at this point, I'm thinking, could there be a breakthrough? Because I was seeing this as a potential one leg down and then another leg down. So is this price action going to actually complete this measured move? I wasn't sure because this candle, unfortunately, this one had to have been green, then it would have given me confidence. But then this one was red. The follow-up trigger bar is green, but it's so weak. It has this big wick at the top, meaning sellers were able to push it all the way back down. So it gives me caution. Then the subsequent candle does the same thing. So I was like, is this pulling up or is it going to flush through? Ends up pulling upwards, but it's too late at this point. And it kind of moves into the close for the last 30 minutes of the trade. So overall, it was, I don't want to say it was an exciting day, but there were a couple of trades in there that were decent. And the first trade, it was a little more aggressive, but I was able to manage a good runner out of it. And the second trade was a little bit safer, but I got no runner out of that. So hopefully that was helpful.